Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Libra. What's the best thing about you? First of all, your face. You guys always have the most gorgeous features. Libra is ruled by Venus, the sign of, or the planet of beauty. Some more indecision coming out. This was here for Virgo. If you're on the cusp, welcome. If you... I feel like Leo energy too. Okay, anyways. So what's the best thing about you, Libra? What's the best thing about you? The Page of Cups. Maybe you're like really good at partying, like you're really fun. Maybe that's that Leo energy. Like super social. That's kind of what I'm getting. You might even do some kind of like moon ritual because that thing just stood out to me. The Knight of Wands. You can also shut it down. Okay, that's kind of what I'm seeing. You have, okay, so you have this ability to like be very social around people and have it be like getting along, but then I'm seeing you also have this ability to kind of like bring in the boot. Knight of Wands. So knights often like collect things or deliver things. Knight of Wands often is serving out a purpose for some other hierarchy. The Page of Wands is like more of the self because it's learning. Maybe people like that you can do both. Hold on. To clarify, I got the Seven of Swords, which is sneaky behavior. So I don't think that people enjoy this. But it is, universe is saying it's one of your strongest traits. Your indecision. Okay, so this is often, it's not that you're indecisive or whatever. It's just because you're so social and because you can see so many, like air signs just see perspectives. Actually, let me rephrase that. Gemini and Libra see perspectives. I don't really want to have anything against Aquarius energy, but just Aquarius energy is very like self-oriented, and not, which is funny because it's the humanitarian. So it's like, I think that's the closeted the humanitarian is Aquarius. So they always come off like they're not considering everybody else's perspectives, but then maybe their big moves, they're highly considering other people's perspectives just in terms of what they've gone through. But this is kind of looking like you consider everyone's perspectives regardless of if you've gone through it or not. There's something here that people see about like a dual nature to you. There's something that people have a tendency to look at when they're like, well, you get along with everyone, but do you have any views of your own? And you're like, whenever I have views, they're not met with understanding. So like socializing is how I get everybody to, that's what you do. Okay, you're like the social smoother. We need one. Okay, picture TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and there's something controversial that's posted. All those people in the comments, you're the one that goes around and is like, hey, but what about this? You're Ron Paul in whatever bodysuit you're in. You're the one that goes in play, what about this? It's just so natural to you. I'm like, what else? What do we just, is that the, that's it? Okay, cool. That's probably your personality too, is being like, okay, thoughts done, like almost ruled by them or something, or a little bit listening for more. Maybe you are very divinely oh, look at this. The moon coming out. I like reading the cards without their definitions. I also like talking to people without society's definitions. So I think it's kind of going somewhere for me. Yeah, look at this. You look at the conflict and then you internalize it. Boom. And you ask your ancestors, or you ask look at that. You literally ask for like guidance and what to do. How does everybody, how do we get everybody to hear what we're trying to say? And it's like, just be nice. Just be friendly about it. Like, there's something like that. And then there's maybe a tendency to it's almost like put the hammer down, but I feel like that would be, maybe people don't like how you do it. But I feel like it's so that you don't have to go behind your own back of like socializing with people that you're not vibing with. You're not really vibing with. It's like you're becoming a smoother for people that you don't consider friends, or you are that way. And that's fine, but I don't think that you feel that there's like reciprocity in that in some way. Anyways, mother and addict. Okay. And then watch like athlete and father come out. And hero. Okay, so maybe you are somebody who tried to go towards like sports or towards group, because that Page of Cups is really giving me the group energy. Athlete says dedication to transcending physical limits, including handicaps. Maybe you work with handicap. Develop of personal willpower and strength of spirit. I just heard maybe you work with handicapped people, but also maybe you need a handicap in golf. Like, there's a duality there where you can really help people, but there's things that this is kind of how I'm getting it. You can really help people in ways that they can't see, and it looks like you can't help yourself in ways that other people can see. Like, it's funny how everyone is perceived and perceiving, and we won't even get into that. I have so many viewpoints that, like, listen, I think you're going to resonate with this, so I'll say it. Here's kind of how I'm feeling is people might not understand why you do things, but you ultimately are seeking this goal. It's like you've chosen to go in a certain way with your life, but you're always going to like have that, but you're always going to want to rebuild it to include other people, to include the people who are maybe left behind in some way. I feel like you're wondering specifically right now about that, if you should cut people out. But this person's like feeding them, but also listen, if you are in a moment to give. If you're in a moment to receive. What does that mean? If you don't have enough to give, like if you're not in your flow, or have been in your flow, maybe you're on your period or something, it's, I feel the need to say, because this is what I keep running into, is like people are sarcastically commenting a lot of stuff, especially now. Sarcasm is a mask for anger. So the people who can't see that, like, they can't just let their anger be anger. They have to be like, oh, that's like white privilege. And then everyone's like, how would that be? Like, yes, that is a thing. And yes, but how would that in this specific, and the video I'm referencing is actually like a dude who painted a picture with barbecue sauce and urine. It was on TikTok. And he's like, I've been waiting my whole life to paint this picture. And someone said like white privilege. So he posted like a rebuttal of some girl who I actually don't know if she was, you couldn't really see her face or anything. She was either super tan or she was dark, but that's besides the point. She was hanging a picture and she wasn't really wearing anything. So I don't know if that was supposed to be intentional on his part, but what he did next, it probably wasn't given the content, is he made his own cutoffs. He does not look like her from the back whatsoever, not even a stretch of the imagination. And he hung the picture and then did a little tilt afterwards. You could see his, like, his little jeans and stuff. And it was kind of like, that's you, is the person who comes back like that. You're trying to address all the people who are speaking out of distortion, thinking it's a joke. And they were even like, chill out, it's a joke. And other people were like, no, you don't understand. And then you slowly, if you're watching, you see this tension build and you see the person either snap back and continue to be like, fuck all you, or you see them go, oh, I see your point. Like, or just, I was just joking. If they can't say, I was just joking, I'm sorry it offended anyone, then they're not sorry, right? If they say, geez, chill out, sorry, like how an Aries would apologize, you all know what I'm talking about. It's like, that's not an apology. You are not going to change your behavior. Therefore, there is still a continuing problem in my mind. I think that's how Libra works. So it's almost like you found it upon yourself to get in there and do it a little bit differently, but transcending physical limits, including handicaps. I think that's mental handicaps because you guys are connecting with your, or wait, with your self, I guess, the Queen of Swords. Maybe you have a Taurus moon. With that bull sitting at her side, or maybe a Taurus partner. No. Maybe an Aries, like a domesticated Aries. Interesting. That's probably the first time I've ever said those words. Judgment. Maybe you have a partner that behaves a little bit out of their Mars energy. That could be Scorpio too. And then it's like you're somehow taming them by just listening to them. You're the sounding board, but you're kind of the punching bag. Oh, this is so crazy. That's why you feel like this. And why you have to go somewhere else to ask, because you're always the one giving the answers. And you're like, somebody else please give me an answer that relieves my mind, because I seem to be doing that for everyone else. And you're like, I want to listen to people's emotions. I want to hear it out. I want to give, but I want to receive too. Like, you're in this energy, Libra, where I think one of the best things about you is actually something that you don't always feel comfortable being. You feel more comfortable witnessing. It's that you can see. Your purpose isn't to be social or to smooth. It's to influence and to change. That's probably why you're beautiful, because we know that Aries is like, Aries as a perfect example, not to rag on anyone. I was going to do a whole roast of signs next month, so we'll see about that. Don't even think I'm going to need any cards for it. But like, you know that if you have, where was I even going with that? If you have like an Aries, if you have somebody like that in the comments who's just, I'm going to prove my point and fuck you for trying to tell me different. And then they, you know that they go and then they have an interaction with someone who's doing the same damn thing to them. They come to you, they go, wah, wah, wah. And you're like, you're just creating your own, because you're, oh, okay, come here. It's okay. It's okay. You didn't know. You didn't know that would happen. It's that energy, right? And so it's almost like you can call people out on stuff, but then you back away from it or something, because there's too many people who are not backing away from it and it's not changing anything. It's like that's the perspective that you're seeing it from. But you have an ability to do that and see it, but it's almost like you don't feel comfortable voicing your own political agenda, your own, like you're trying to stay neutral on a lot of things publicly, or just you don't feel like your personal self can come through. Now, why is that? Passion for, actually, I think it's this: misuse of athletic ability for selfish ends. You guys, this isn't supposed to be anyone being called out or anything, but false sense of invulnerability and entitlement. There might be a way where your looks or your like sexual appeal or something has actually, where you've tried to do this and then you get like, you go away from the goal because it's not being received, and you can tell people aren't receiving it, and you understand you're not supposed to push it at that point because it's resistance. It doesn't create the, not everyone is like that, right? So it's almost like you could have this as a life mission almost, to like understand. To I actually have a Libra friend who's like, I always say something that's a little bit like a blow to myself when I first meet somebody, to see if they'll say something, and then like self-deprecating about themselves, and then we can be like, okay, we're both real people. But if you don't know that's what someone's doing and then they judge you for that, it can be kind of like a misuse of information, right? So it's almost like maybe people are misusing that information about you too. That yes, you are social, but you also do have an agenda. It's just you're not telling anybody what it is because you're showing them, you're being it. And they can't see past that because, like, that's kind of what I was going to say. Aries energy is try telling an Aries peacefully that they're not seeing the whole picture. Just on a Sunday. And then be like, but this is the other points in the room. What do you think about that? They'll be like, well, this, and let me prove myself right again because you didn't seem to agree with me. And it's like, no. The whole point isn't to agree with you. The whole point is to grow outside of yourself. Like, you're not supposed to be 2 years old your whole life. You're not supposed to be only thinking one way your whole life. You're supposed to change. I think Libra is also like in kind of this middle ground where you're not quite like Leo and Virgo, and you're not quite Scorpio and Sag. So you're kind of sandwiched in between these intensities. And I think you're always trying to break those energies apart and be like, let's let the truth just rise up in the middle. Maybe that's why it's the Justice card too. Libra's ruled by justice. So I think that maybe there's a hint of like sexuality there coming into play and maybe veering off course. And then passion for a journey of personal empowerment. I think for everybody, escapism and a false sense of heroism. Imposter syndrome. It is what it is, right? So, and then addict and mother helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. This person's pushing away the water, or they're moving it to where it's clear. They're like clearing the ocean floor though. It's kind of a big feat, but it's not, it doesn't look like it's, if that's sand and not the ground. I mean, this could be magical, or this could be, oh, interesting. This could be magical, or this could be abrasive. Who really knows? We would just have to ask this person. Oh, that's probably what you saw in your mom. Duh. Bully. Whoa, so bully comes out with mother. This energy comes out for Libra a lot. For, I would say, Aquarius, Libra, Pisces, but it doesn't come out. It's just that's kind of always known. If you're not close to your mother, you're close to your grandmother. And who else experiences this? Scorpio. So we have Aquarius, Scorpio, Libra, it's kind of getting to be like fixed energy for me. I don't think that's where it was supposed to go. Okay. Scorpio, water, Pluto. It's like, I don't think that's where it was supposed to go, but I think it led me here. And maybe that's kind of a message about your whole socializing thing, is like, it led you here. Libra, I'm just going to call it like I'm seeing it. You've built a platform of social standing in some way. Now's the time to voice yourself. You have everybody's attention. You do. There's things you want to talk about that you haven't talked about, and it would give you life again to let other people love that part of you too. To not judge it, it's like, and for you to not feel like you're sneaking it around when it really is your light. It's your truth. even if it can be an ugly one. If it's your truth, it's your truth. Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Jupiter. You're battling these like fixed cardinal, you're in some kind of a position where you're supposed to be. And then Venus, Virgo, and Leo. Why like good things come in threes? Something about that? Do we have any threes on the board? The Page of Cups. Okay, so we have 3 people in there. Good things come in threes. Whoa, this is interesting. This is interesting. Okay, so I don't know if anyone here has like a different set of rules for their relationship or in their mind how they want to go about it, but I think that what it's kind of saying, and I'm not really saying that this is where it wants to go if that's not where you're wanting to go, but what I'm seeing is that I almost called you Scorpio. Libra, you get stuck in partnerships or one-on-one that you feel you will listen to the ends of the earth, but you can't always say your truth in it. I think you're wanting to, but I think that's where it's saying 3, like 2's kind of a crowd, or 2 is restricting in some way. Because you're not, it's almost like your social energy or your light energy is directed at social norms or trying to transcend those. So your lower energy tends to come out of you when you're in relationships or like one-on-one connections, but it's like when you're talking to a group, that's your thing. That's kind of more your thing than one-on-one. It's like you don't really feel comfortable talking one-on-one, or maybe you experience it. This is something I personally experience, is like if I'm talking to someone one-on-one, I have so much to connect that I'm like, well, if I say it all, do they need to know it? Like, is that conducive for their understanding, or am I just witnessing that there's tons of synchronicities in my life and that's just something people notice? Like, who knows? Because people are, I guess especially now, but we've kind of always been, I think a lot of people are using the pandemic to hide behind that they haven't been cool with what's been going on, or maybe not hide behind, but it's like if someone's saying the pandemic, like I just said this on my Instagram story, like fuck COVID so hard, but fuck the pandemic. Fuck the pandemic so hard. I can't get my hair out of my face. I can't speak. So, but it's not like, not in a sense of fuck this for everything that's happened because of it. More just like, I had to consider whether or not it was safe to take my 3-year-old on a vent with a feeding tube to the hospital because he was that sick. Because he got sick from there. So like, you know, it's one of those moments of, at some point, you kind of do just have to do what you're going to do. Spoiler alert, we treated it with like Tylenol, Gatorade, and water, and he was fine. So I think there's like, maybe there's look, the Grateful Dead deck is the one I wanted to draw, and I was like, I wonder if I should take that just in case there's like a subliminal message that wants to come out. And I was like, that's weird to think that, but okay. Now I'm understanding what the subliminal message is. With the Grateful Dead, you, Libra, and I always experience Libra as this, have a wild ability to like, it's funny that I thought this was the 4 of Swords, but this is actually the 5 of Swords. This is the conflict and kind of recognizing defeat from such conflict. Like, oh, I went in there, and the swords representing words, right? And other people, this is how this is coming off, using their actions, fighting with their actions, you fighting with your words. Bringing a sword to a knife fight, or like, what is it? Bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's almost like you're trying to talk to people from spirit and they're trying to talk to you from ego or something like that. I don't know. But whatever it is, you have an ability to tap into your guidance, to know what to say, and what I think you're just going to need some time to come to those decisions. So I don't think you're going to be like boom, 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 like Leo, how they're just like, yep, this, then this, oops, whoops. Like I asked an Aries one time who's an electrician, because he said he always got shocked. And I'm like, don't you think it's worth it to like slow down for 2 minutes to look at all the leads and to be like, okay, in order to not have like 110 volts running through my body, potentially across my heart, maybe I should just like slow down for a minute. And he's like, no, I'd rather get sparked than slow down. Same person also had a massive infection and had to like be slowed down by the universe, which is kind of typical for Aries. If they don't slow down, the universe will slow them down. That's okay. That's part of your message. The universe takes part in your thoughts becoming actions. Like what you see, you're seeing a very, what's the word? All-encompassing perspective. It really just feels like you can understand just about anything. But it's trying to say it's okay to make your own decisions. It's okay to say, like, you got to this point, but it doesn't seem to be, there's a point where you seem to be feeling a little bit blocked by it, or like you don't feel like you can say everything. I think it's saying, let universe handle everything. Let universe be the Libra in the background for you. You be the Aries for a minute. You be the Sagittarius. You be the Scorpio. You go to that fire, right? You meet the fire with the fire and blend with it and understand it that way. Like that's how you can have the understanding for yourself so as to not have some type of an imposter syndrome. Honestly, you know what this is kind of saying? It sounds intense. This could honestly be that you have a hobby, you want to put it out there, you're afraid to do so. Do it. It'll be successful. That's very strong here. Aquarius and fire, and then Uranus. Oh, that's interesting. I kind of wanted to leave Uranus behind. Aquarius kind of strikes me as, like I said in the beginning, not somebody who thinks about everyone, is more stuck in their own head. Aquarius thinking about their own fire, their own actions. It's almost like this energy puts you in that energy. Witnessing it, you inherit it somehow. And then you try to go do that because you have this other, you have the energy for it. It's fuel. But you probably don't know where to put it all the time. And I think on one-on-one, it's like you can either, I'm hearing nitpick or something. It's like the energy goes somewhere else. Or maybe this is just where the energy would be best at, including Uranus, that weirdo, let your freak flag fly. We're in the age of Aquarius too. So this is also like, listen, Age of Aquarius hit with Woodstock last time. So basically what I gather from that is that, like, is it the best way to go about, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll were kind of the response to wars, depression, and you have to consider, like, lobotomies and, like, so many things, like imperialism, stuff that has trickled down into all of our beautiful minds to make us hate each other. And then the government just loves to like propel this narrative even more, and people play into it because they think that they're fighting a good fight, but they're all fighting their egos, and you're stepping back from it. You're like, none of this is going to solve the problem, and nobody's listening. When Aquarius speaks is when they change things, when they act, when they be. Like, if it's just Aquarius and fire, it's gonna look like a baby Sag, someone who just looks like they're intentionally trying to mess up for the first 20 years of their life, and then they figure it out. It's not intentionally messing up, it's finding yourself, it's paving your own way, because you see differently. You're working with different information. Look at this. You're working with different information. Then how other people communicate. They do not understand this about you. They're trying to communicate with you how they communicate, which you already see as non-conducive to everybody's health. What's the best thing about you, Libra, is that you can point out the devil in anything and then you can do something about it. You're not scared of it. You're a lot like Scorpio in that regard, but Scorpio will like embody it and then be so maybe there's a way you do that too, but either way you can see it in someone else. That's probably where the embodying is coming from. You can see it in someone else. If you don't tell them or respond to it or move away or have an action for your own self to not feel in such imposter syndrome, you will become this energy because you saw it, but you didn't do anything about it. And it's like, that's what they were doing. It's a higher standard, but it's like, I think every sign goes through it. Like Pisces, you just learn to drown until you call it swimming. And then you go, I have had gills this whole time. This is my natural environment. Oh my God. If nobody else is calling it crazy, I actually feel okay. Like, yeah, it looks crazy, but I'm not there. I'm here. And so it's like certain signs, right? Virgo's the analytical one, the overthinker, but they're the healer. They have to see the details. They also don't ask to get them. If they had to ask, only Scorpio would have the details, and Scorpio doesn't talk about details because Mars strategizes weaponry and war, right? And it doesn't give away all the secrets. It's the mystery. Scorpio being ruled by Pluto and Mars, but first ruled by Mars. And honestly, if you're here in any Scorpio energy, which is pretty much like, I don't know, the whole like 21st century. I don't know how long Pluto was in Scorpio, but we kind of all have that placement. If you were like a 90s kid, an 80s kid, I don't want to look it up right now, but you know what I'm saying is there's a strong scorpionic pull there. I think that Scorpio, kind of for me, being the one that doesn't talk about things, would do really good leaning into their Plutonian nature. Just like you, adding Pluto, but adding Uranus. Adding the freak flag flying. That's Scorpio's blessing, and that's yours too. Maybe you're actually friends with Scorpios and you guys, it's rigid, and this is actually something that will help you. I'm actually noticing, you guys, this is a weird time to announce this. I think I'm going to be doing like couples therapy, because when I read for the general readings, when it's two people who are already involved, it makes so much sense. One-on-one readings, I can channel the energy, it makes so much sense. In the general readings where it's just like, is this new, is this whatever, I'm like, I don't know, because I don't know them. I don't want to give people misinformation. I don't, like, my Libra rising really comes out there. But what I'm noticing is one-on-one, I can like, not only can I, or I guess tarot and whatever we're all connected by can help me see into someone's past, but it can also help me see into the minds of those people in the past and how they would have taken action, and then how you took action and how you've been changing. And like, that's kind of what we need to get along, right? Maybe there's something there for you. Maybe you're thinking about being some type of a counselor. I think you would be really good at it. But I think for you specifically, if you can speak to groups right now, there's something coming out about right now, you might be in heavy imposter syndrome. And this is your advice, is when you feel that way and you're still voicing yourself, it's like it just becomes glaringly obvious that you're being met with this energy. So it's saying it's okay to step back and then not involve your own self into it. You guys, I think we just found it. And what are you always listening for? People's emotions, where people are going with it. Like, what? And maybe the truth, because like the mystery revealed, right? Things are illuminated the darkness is illuminated by the moon, but it's also only illuminated like by the moon when it's dark. And then there's this sun energy too. And it's funny that this is the rebuilding in sun energy, and this is the listening for like clarity. I think listening for clarity rebuilds your selfhood in some way. With that 5 of Swords, and me thinking it was the 4 of Swords, connecting to ancestors is usually that card's definition. I think when you notice something, you're supposed to go away for a minute, let it ruminate, and like I said, give it some time. Come back to it, say something, and then just kind of leave it at that. Give people things to chew on, but almost like, I want to say like anonymously. Maybe this is something that you do. I don't know, but I think that's what you want to do. I actually have a Libra friend who I think I don't think he does it anymore, but I think that was his whole purpose. Oh, and then this is kind of funny because Cancer, Earth, Libra. This is what wants to come out next. What's our time? Cancer, Earth, and Libra. Look at how much different it is after we've gone through like Aries, Mars, Mercury, like the Scorpionic Sagittarius pull, the Virgo and Leonic pull. It's like then we get this home. It's like, it feels like ancestors grounding home, but really it feels like allowing for divine energy to just like blanket everything, kind of being the messenger. Cancer and Earth, it kind of gives me that like Cancer does get along with Earth signs because Earth signs don't always feel very like abrasive and stuff. It's almost like if that's been your friend group thus far, is just like very peaceful people or whatever, or maybe that's what it'll move into. Wait, hold on. I'm getting something. I'm getting something. The Guardian, cosmic ancestors, and spirit message, y'all. It's seriously like, I think that you guys have a wild ability to tune into spirit. Spirit messages, between worlds, divine will, galactic healer. You guys, I think that the best thing about you is you let the universe flow. You try to open up avenues for it to. Moon, Saturn, Neptune. That's difficult because Neptune doesn't have any boundaries and Saturn is all restriction. And with that moon energy, it's like no boundaries and all restriction, like no boundaries socially, and in that fun Page of Cups energy, no boundaries, whatever. And then all the boundaries at once. All of them. It almost looked like that hawk was crying a little bit, but it's just... This is such fire energy. It's almost like you don't want to stop anyone from saying it. You don't want to say something that would shut people out. You don't want to just use people. You don't want to ride them like that. It's almost like, look at how carefully that was placed on just the edge of its beak. It's so gentle, right? There's slack. There's like this, I'm guided by it, but I have grounded it. I've tamed it, but I'm guided by it. It's flying, right? And I'm super down with that. And I'm on it, so I'm kind of like along for the ride. But I also had to clip it for a minute. I had to poke it for a minute it's like that's your initiation into not being the social smoother, just being yourself. Is you kind of just have to like clip people for a minute. Tag. Maybe that's what you do. Maybe there's some kind of a natural, is it like a naturalist or something? Like a, people who go and monitor rivers and stuff, and what's it called? Is it just a naturalist? But you're afraid to say something that would deter people from seeking their own truth or something, like from seeing the truth of what's hurting them. And then once you don't say it, you think that you've hurt them. I think that's kind of your imposter syndrome. Like you think that you're either hurting them by not saying it or you're hurting them by saying it. And then you're like, I will go away in complete shame. Gemini Sun, Taurus. Okay, reflecting and rebellious is coming through. This is more of that fire energy. This is, I think, how you feel. Look at my hand just shook like crazy. This is more how you feel when you're in that energy. Funny, it goes 3, 13, 2, 2, 3, 4. Like, what's the order? Oh, and then we have, oh, this is kind of weird. 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. It's like a full house here. Look at the numbers. Go, wee. So, sun energy. It's funny that I rearranged them like that, and they just happen to. It's like the Taurus energy, the rebellion. Yeah, and the Gemini sun. Okay, the rebellion wants to be taken out of the picture and put into your personality. You want to. Your advice from Spirit is look at their rebellion as if it is a good thing, because it's about to be in you. I missed the table. Okay, wait, so look at their rebellion. Look, they're hitting the beehive. This is how they learn. They're blindfold. Look at they're not very bright. They're hitting the beehive. This is like all my exes in one picture. Sorry. But you know what? It's like, that's how you learn. And a lot of my exes have had such like just Taurus, Pisces, Scorpio, like that energy of, or not Pisces mixed with Aries specifically. So it's kind of coming out like you don't like to let people learn their own battles. If you can see it, you like to say something. This is actually something that Scorpio has a lot in common, so you might spark this conversation up. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. If you're in a relationship and you have been at odds, especially with a Scorpio, or someone in their Mars energy, I would specifically try to seek their rebellion and try to get on board with it for a minute and just be like, where are we going next? And then like you can live it vicariously through them and choose to see, like you don't have to. I think that you think that if you allow something else, it's your responsibility. And universe is saying, no, just because you allow it so you can see it, so you can work with truth. But it is not up to you to fix everything or to change it. I just felt like a kazoo too. So maybe you just, there's a kazoo in your ear. Air, Pisces, and Taurus kind of wanting to blend together. That makes sense too, because it's like, that is the rebellion. But that's what creates. I'm sorry, because it's coming out as my ex's energy so hard. That is the great thing about it, is like the rebellion, but it's the self-rebellion. People don't understand that their rebellion, like when it doesn't have all the information backing it that they could have collected upon coming to it, right? Like Alan Watts says, figure it out in your mind. This is exactly verbatim, so definitely take this with no grains of salt, complete boulder. He's like, if you can work it out in your mind, you don't have to fuck it up for everybody else when you go interact with them. So there you go. And I think that's how you are. I think you kind of just sit back and observe. So how do we prevent this energy? Because I think you're kind of into preventative maintenance, right? Like Libra likes to think about that stuff. How can we be in this energy? Get our threes together, 3, 4, make it go in order, make it make sense. Only display publicly what you want to. Does that make sense? Because I think you're trying to like separate your energy from others, but you think that it's your energy, so you're separating yourself from others. And then with all these 2s here, we have 2, 3, and 7. Ooh, okay. 7 for air energy is giving me spirituality through trauma. Because 7s I always associate with Cancer energy. Oh, interesting. I just got a whiff back to the mom. Oh, interesting. Because the addict is here, but what's next is the father, the shapeshifter. Okay, there's a message coming through here. This is so interesting that maybe there was an influence of your father on your mother that actually made her the way that she was. Like she was whoa. Maybe I think I just need to do a reel of my blown away faces. Like they're probably exactly like how my mom used to be the type of person who would like cheer the loudest at games and stuff, but it would be like so over the top, and it was cool, but it was like we're like, let's put that energy, like, but we kind of embody, and then we learn, and then we learn, right? So it's almost like maybe there's a way where something happened here and it's like you value one side of things, like a more peaceful side, but you were more working with something that was coming up against things, like helps you recognize and confront addictive behavior. Compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. I think that your parent fought some kind of truth or something, like, or fought for truth or something in almost an addictive way. Like they didn't have a life outside of it. Or they couldn't, oh my gosh, they couldn't. You're the one that's benefiting from them because you've seen the craziest side of things. So when you go into the environment, you know how to, it's almost like you've been in the barracks for so long that you are that way when you go out. I don't know if you've experienced some type of like, I don't really want to say abuse because it just more feels like control. But who knows? If you've experienced that, and that might be where the rebellion energy gets a little crazy. So it's like maybe that's what other people are experiencing too. And then calling them out on stuff like it isn't helping anything because the problem stems from an earlier time. Maybe you do past life regressions or something. I'm getting such Taurus energy with that. I've been getting Taurus energy since I mentioned my Libra friend over here. So yeah, maybe you're making some type of it's almost like the parent that you modeled after went away. They like escaped it or something. They were escaping maybe your mom's confronting their addictive behavior. It's almost like, this is so crazy. You could have Gemini parents, you could have Scorpio parents. There's something coming through here with those specific signs, though, where it's like someone either was reflecting the partner back to themselves and it wasn't received, so they kept trying and it wasn't ever going to go anywhere. So either someone gave in and went away, or just it became something where they let you absorb that. Like they didn't want you to, it wasn't intentional, but them not resolving it, you didn't really, how could you not, right? How could you not absorb that? So if that's not your story, no worries, but that's kind of like a side message that wanted to come out. And I really do think that you finding this moment of being able to step back from things and be like, what's really happening here? You probably won't feel the need to look at anyone like there's maybe that's what it is. There's an energy here where there's already a problem. There's already a problem no matter what time it is. But Gemini Sun is that duality of like, there's a problem, but I'm also having fun. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's just a part of my day. And then I'm being brought back to, if you are in a partnership where this person does it, it's like you being like them isn't going to help, but you like mimicking them, because that's kind of what we saw is with the addicted, it doesn't go anywhere. But you listening to what fuels their fire, what they're most angry at, it's like it can help you track back to what's really the block. And honestly, that feels more connected in your own spirit, in your own community, than this card of heavily socializing with other people who honestly just kind of like turn everything into an argument. I don't want to like make this a whole God thing, although that was what the cards kind of made the Leo reading. And we do have that here. But some of the cards are kind of doing it again. But what I really want to hit on is, I don't want to make, there's something very, like, pure about you, where you even don't feel pure making mistakes if you know better. Like, letting your human body kind of explore. You know what I'm saying, though? Like, where you haven't figured it all out. There was something more there, and then I feel like I lost it. Okay, well, I just got something else, and this might actually be different. Okay, so it's like you've been going to other places to look for connectedness, because you do feel connected to something, and you understand that. What you don't understand, perhaps, or maybe you do, is that you're going places to feel connected because you might not feel connected to yourself. Because you have stuff that's connected to you, and you're maybe witnessing it in others. I honestly think this is sounding kind of like a roast, but what my feeling is that it's going to relieve the right person, you know? Like, because that's the sun energy that wants to come out with this Gemini, is your faith ultimately becomes feeling good about being you. That's where you feel more connected than any other social event you've ever been a part of. And what I keep getting is somebody questioning it, like looking at you going, what's all that Gemini shards of glass? And you're like, it's sparkle, bitch. And they're like, no, it's not. It's, right? They meet you with the energy that they come to you with. And then it's like it grabs your attention, and you go, like, sink back into yourself, and you go, oh no, oh no. And this is kind of the trickster energy I talk about. Oh no, I'm being seen as I am not. I must go away. This is too much. This is too much. It's almost like instead of that whole situation playing out the way that it did, much like I think the mom situation could have been different if they weren't reactive to, like, let me explain something. The way that I am with my kid, everybody defines as like amazing, and in a sense, yes, like he's so happy. He's so communicative without being able to talk. Like, we are on the same page. He flows. I encourage it. I see his stones before he steps on them, and I go, what about this? right? Or where are you going with that? And I just try to watch it unfold. At the same time, I realized that I wasn't setting any boundaries because I was grounded every single week for literally no reason. I was like sent away. There were certain things that happened to me that were just because I was being me. So I never wanted to restrict that in someone else. I completely restricted that in my old relationship because I think that they were that's the energy that brought it out, that let me understand that, because we were both in that. But ultimately I've had to like lean into setting boundaries and being like, no means no. No means no. Like, people didn't explain it to me that way. They just slap my face and I'd look at the other and go, was that deserving? And they'd go, you asked for it. And it like that, there was no conversation. There was no, where were you going with that? What? So like, I understand this energy. I understand it well. But it's trying to say, because this is so, you see so much truth and not everyone is okay with living that way, like within themselves. They don't understand it yet. You back away from it, but it's like it's your gift. But I always say your gift is your curse till you learn how to channel it. So it's like, you are glittery, you are shimmery, you're so well-rounded, right? You had athlete come out, you have, maybe you're athletic in the bedroom, like that's still athletic, right? You have ways that you can do this. You haven't forgotten about the other areas that your body needs, that you're, right? It's like you have been thinking about a lot. But I think what gets you into this mode of shrinking is like, it's also what's pushing you, because that's kind of my relationship too with my ex, was it kept shrinking both of us until we said, no, we don't want to be shrunk. And it's kind of like that, where I didn't want to set boundaries. I didn't want to put Mac in a pack and play. But eventually I was like, I'm a single parent raising a fully medically disabled kid. I've never had help with him. This is insane. I need to put him in a crib eventually. I need to let him cry. Because you can get so wrapped up in that. Or at least personally for me, I was like, he lived his whole first year in a hospital and like laying down, or he was in my arms for most of it. But like, he couldn't walk, right? He couldn't. And then, no offense to anyone who's of like OT, but they always made him cry. So, and that's still the continued thing, is like, just tries to get right in there and do it for them. And he's like, I'm not someone who can do that. I'm just not someone who can do that. So it can become irritating and not helpful for healing. It can just induce stress. And that's how you feel when you're in stressful environments, because you try, and listen, the messenger always gets shot. So just remember that. It's like, when you're feeling like it isn't your thing, just go ahead and back away. And then you're going to feel like you're wrong for doing that. And then just tell yourself, I'm just opening myself up for more to flow, because I eventually will go back into that, because it is my nature to socialize. But maybe thinking about it in a different way will help me re-enter it in a different way. Because I'm seeing it as a threat, and I don't need to. You want to bring your Venus energy, right? And it's funny because it's like you've been battling this Sagittarius Scorpio energy for a minute, and it's like you're wanting to lean into the Virgo Leo energy instead. It's almost like you want to be more intentional than just fiery. And you're making that very clear. It's like, no, I will not do that if it's going to hurt everyone around. Like, and give yourself the time to think it. But I think that the issue seems to be that I'm picking up is that you go away and then you don't come back and take action. You just go away and then you're like, is it all better now? And I think it's saying, when you come back in, say something. Just be like, or just listen for it again. Maybe this is better. if it wasn't one-on-one, listen for that thought again or what sparked the thing, because you're going to go and figure it out, because you're not going to not think about it, right? And then just when it comes up again, be like, oh, or they're just playing on this. This is just what they're interacting with. You know, maybe they're seeing it from a different perspective. Here it is. I think this is the hard part. You're supposed to tell them. Someone has to, right? Someone has to. It's that, like, someone has to talk to the dead too. Not everybody wants it to be them, but the people who can do it, that's where they find their connection in their community, because the people who are searching for that are looking for it. People are searching for your input, Libra. They're searching for your views. They're searching for how you do things. They're wanting more from you. It's just you feel like there's almost like Aries energy around you or Mars energy around you that's saying, don't do it. I don't like it. And it's like, you're just going to have to figure out how to be like, you don't like it because you're being childish. Like in your mind, just, you don't like it, how I'm dealing with this, because you're still going through something. You can't see it. You just won't see it yet. But I can show you what's hurting that inner ego. I can show you what's hurting the thing that's making you feel like you need to respond as a child because you don't understand it. And being childish isn't like a bad thing or anything that any of us can avoid. So it's not supposed to be a judgment. It's just supposed to be a, like, maybe a better word for it is you're still exploring how your views on the world. You're still coming to conclusions. You always will be. What if I told you this, right? Like, what if the conclusion isn't done yet? Especially if you're only like 20 years old. What the conclusion couldn't be done. It could never. The only thing that could really remain true out of this entire spread, even being social is going to go away, Libra. The only thing that is going to remain true about this whole thing is that what you continually seek is to have more power within yourself while keeping it balanced with everybody around. You're always going to want that. You're not going to want one without the other. You're not going to just want the social, and you're not just going to want the leadership. You're going to want it to be a community effort. Let's look at, I just pulled up Father Shapeshifter, and then I saw Galactic Healer. Move forward with an open mind. Let go of fear. Jupiter, Sagittarius, Capricorn. What is going on with the numbers? We have like 8, 9, 10. I think this is kind of alluding to, this is how you pick up on these vibes. Like, you do see synchronicities, or you have an ability to. It's almost trying to tell me the way that you get your information is not going to be typical. It's going to be more mental. And let it be, because would you rather listen to like an Aries and their 4-year-old energy tell you what's what, or would you rather listen to an ancestor or universe or something that can see all? Because it's like, that's what you're being led by. I think that's what you ultimately would allow you to lead you when you feel indecisive. It's like, that is part of you, but you need it to be a true part. That's kind of what I'm trying to get to. There's something here with the Father. Talent for creating and supporting life. It's funny if you're a single parent. Positive guiding light within a tribal unit. Talent for creating and supporting life. Creating and supporting, though. And supporting life. That means anything living. That means the mother as well. Positive guiding light within a tribal unit. This type of father is one that's balanced in their masculinity and can be led by a feminine within themselves or another. Shadow attribute, dictatorial control, abuse of authority. Everyone. God. in my life. Like, it's funny because the more that we branch out, the more we realize that the things that we were trying to make fit in our previous life before we find our community, they were blocking us from seeing our true potential because we were absorbing it and we had no idea, and they were letting us because they weren't dealing with it. And people who deal with their stuff with integrity, which I think I would immediately define that as Libra or as Scorpio energy, which I'm kind of coming back to this Pluto and Scorpio, like it's that transformative nature. So it's going to see the things that need to transform and change in order to get you to ultimately where you want to go. So it's like, do you need to cut things out right now? I don't think that cutting anything out is really going to help you. And I think you're almost relieved to hear that, because I think you were putting a lot of pressure on yourself to be in an energy you weren't, which was this one. I don't think you want to cut out. I think you want to enlighten. I think you want to bring together. I think you want to bring yourself together too. You're like, if I deserve it, everyone deserves it. Should I cry or like... I don't want it if everyone doesn't deserve it. It's, you see where that nature can be too giving and too much to a point where you don't take control of your direction. But the thing that's never changing, Libra, and I want you to understand this, you're coming into this energy, okay? You're always this energy. You always have an ability to cut people out. If you're having to think about it and you're not doing it, quit forcing yourself to try. You know, like, let yourself be led by a different narrative, let yourself be led by different people. It's okay. It's okay. And what did we come back to in that father? This is probably what you meet a lot. Dictatorial control, abuse of authority. And you're trying to become friendly with them so that you can, I'm totally guilty of this. You can try to become friendly with them, right? Indulge so that you can be everywhere in the world, so that you can be like, there's so much tension there really doesn't need to be. Let me just prove that with every single person that I meet. I've actually gone into situations trying to relieve the tension that everybody was already like feeling, and gotten told that I'm the problem and that dealing with the problem is problematic by that dictatorial control, abuse of authority. That's kind of like, that's too real for me. But it is what it is, right? And then it's like, you at some point just have to realize you didn't try to pull one over. Like, you know your intentions, you know your integrity. It's trying to say you're always going to be getting to a point where that is your goal. You're just interacting with energies that's getting rid of this imposter syndrome for you, because it's giving you an opportunity to speak against it. Gemini contradicts a lot too, and some people can nitpick that and try to use your own words against you. Be like, you know what, that was a different energy. I operate from a different mind. I am allowed to, just as you are. Just as you are, and yours isn't even half as pleasant as mine. So it's like, those are your boundaries. Do not tell me that I am contradicting myself and therefore I have to go crawl back into a hole that I used to put myself into, right? Like, because people are going to be used to you being one way, and then they're not going to understand when you're a different way, but just keep pushing back. That's kind of what it's saying, is if somebody tries to tell you who you are, if you tried to tell someone what their issue is, you don't get very far, right? If you just listen and you go, yeah, that's a legitimate thing for you because you're feeling that. You can get to this point where you're like, it's not an issue, it's just the inner workings. And I'm glittery, bitch. Just kidding. It's like, and this is also Gemini energy, and I kind of want to bring this up. Yeah, we're past an hour. Good for you guys for hanging in there. Is I don't refer to people as names. I don't even refer to myself. I don't put labels. I don't put identities on people. Like, I will tell you the detail of what is happening, and that's kind of the extent of it. I won't be like, that's a person that's just this way forever, because I want to be like, well, they were that way in that interaction. I don't know if that's still true, right? People can change. We have to let them. But then at the same time, this person, and I have a Gemini South Node. Maybe this reading is just for me. Hopefully it resonates with other people. But the Gemini South Node that I'm speaking of just personally within myself is that someone just told me that they thought that I was referring to people as a bitch or something, and I was like, I don't do that. That's not me. And then for the past however many days since it's been, I have been jokingly saying that word. Not that it's a bad word, but it's like, I try to only use curse words in play, and when the energy is like, if I'm pissed and I'm fucking pissed and I'm cursing and whatever, just like, there's nothing that you can do. I have to figure that one out. It's kind of the same thing. Like, if I'm so mad at someone that I'm cursing at them as I am talking to them, because I normally don't say it to people, then what was I just saying? Shit. I almost want to be like, is this relatable for anyone? What am I trying to say? It's almost like that's the Gemini energy that I think you're coming up against, is that you interact with all energies, and then you experience them within yourself, and then it like gives you some type of feeling that you have to hide from yourself in some way. But it's like, all of it is your truth. All of it is your truth. You're working with like probably the most truth out of everyone aside from Gemini, or like Virgo or Scorpio, or any of those placements would have like a real keen ability to see truth that is applicable to all. Okay. There was something else that kind of wanted to come out, but I don't quite remember what it is. So hopefully this helps. You guys are beautiful. You guys are Venus being the planet of love, friendships. For me, romance. I know a lot of people see Mars that way, and it's like, it can be romantic, but I think that Libra displays their love by always trying. And with this Virgo energy too, and the Leo energy, that's why these cards came out. And we have 566 or 567. Why all the synchronicities? What is happening? So with this energy, it's just like, yeah, you have this, you lean more on the side of your nature of like wanting to live in your truth, and really being at odds with yourself to try to figure out how to make that happen. I think it's saying, just live it. Just start today. Just post it, say it. Like, I don't know, like, you're holding back energy is because you're trying to make other people hold back because you see the conflict. But it's almost like, let it all flow, and then it all gets put on the table, and then you can work with it. Keep asking questions until people hit their trigger points so that you don't have to. Maybe that is how you become this like Libra diplomat, who's also able to have this fiery nature. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave it. Super cool reading. Also, someone here might have like box braids or something. I think your hair Oh, and you might like rave or something. There's something here about, I'm getting a very Aquarian vibe of like someone going to a rave or something and having really like beaded, expressive clothing on. Or maybe doing like a photo shoot. Maybe that's like a boudoir shot or something, or a photo shoot. I think there's a lot of energy. If you have any Aquarius in your chart, I'm seeing the legs. I think that people find your legs extremely attractive. I think also just people find, what is it? It's like, what is it that Jessica always says this? Oh, my throat just hurt. It's like, okay, stop the reading. People love to, people, it's like people hate to see you go, but they, what is it? People hate to see you leave, but they love to see you, I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. All right. Hope that helped. Bye, Libras.